are, Bill. Did you hear about the Irish girl who took the pill twice a night?
To be sure, to be sure.
To be sure. Hey, Harry, we'll stir up the indigenous population when we get there, eh?
Remember. The Odd Angry Shot is a unique piece of Australian cinema that sets to tell the story about a group of young men fighting in the unnecessary Vietnam War. Director Tom Jeffrey has adapted the novel of the same name into this short but entertaining film, featuring a who's who of the Australian entertainment scene, including Wolf Creek's John Jarratt, Alvin Purple's Graham Blundell, the late John Hargreaves, comedian Graham Kennedy, and Brian Brown, who went on to star in several big Hollywood films.
Sit.
Sit.
Buy one. And another. Bust me for $4.
Where is it?
Yeah.
There goes your Ferrari, Harry.
Sit. Yes. Buy one.
The story opens up on the birthday party for Bill, played by Jarratt, before he is set to go off to war. Once in Vietnam, the mundane life of a soldier kicks in, where the occasional skirmish or intel mission is broken up by nights of drinking and playing cards. Along the way, we get snippets into the lives of our main characters, but they all share something in common. This is not really a place they want to be, and they are well aware they are fighting in an unpopular war on behalf of another country.
You can set your watch by this fucking rain.
Filmed on location in the same training grounds in Queensland where real troops were sent to before being deployed in Vietnam, and featuring the assistance of the Australian military, this is interestingly the same location that denied a filming permit for another 1979 Vietnam War film, Apocalypse Now.
Now and again.
What can you set your watch by, Harry?
The 1970s were an interesting time in Australian cinema. It's the same decade as the release of Picnic at Hanging Rock, and the same year of release as Mad Max. Australian filmmakers were pushing to compete with the American films of the same era, but with more modest budgets. And this shows in some elements of The Odd Angry Shot. At times the acting can feel rather wooden, with lines of dialogue rushed or delivered with minimal emotion. The sound mixing is also a bit of a mixed bag, with certain lines of dialogue lost in the jungle sound effects of helicopter noise and gunfire. This would appear to be more of an issue with the original soundtrack of the film only being presented in mono, thus losing the separation between audio elements. Watching a version with the captions enabled will alleviate any issues in these scenes. The camera work and pacing are some of the highlights of the film. Long takes using dollies are well choreographed, but the clarity of the original film seems to have been lost with the conversion to DVD, not doing anything to improve the levels of colour or contrast in the image quality. Thus, we are left with quite a muted colour palette and missing a level of sharpness that's expected. On the pacing, the film is rather short, coming in at under 90 minutes, which forces each scene to have some importance to the story. Card and drinking scenes portray camaraderie, while the action scenes remind the audience why these young, and not so young in the case of Mr. Kennedy, men are in Vietnam.
We have had occasion from time to time to use one another's equipment. And so, my sons, I was wondering if any of you have come into contact at all with the prick who's pinched my pack.
Your what?
My pack.
Where'd you see it last?
The back of me tent.
Well now, Bung, it may be that we can be of some small service to you. But as you know, we are businessmen.
What's the catch?
Interestingly, there is a very minimal focus on the enemy of the war. Scenes involving Viet Cong soldiers can be counted on one hand, with the inevitable shootouts presented as unglamorous, if dangerous. The only other scene involving Vietnamese characters outside of fighting scenes is the short bar hopping scene where we are introduced to the first American soldiers in the film, complete with a scene showing them being grifted by a young boy. For a film of its time, The Odd Angry Shot is a great piece of Australian cinema history. No doubt in the current political climate there would be elements of the movie that would be seen as problematic, and certainly the topic of the Vietnam War has never been a popular one, but viewed as a drama about the lives of a handful of Australian soldiers, this movie is well worth your time.
Righto, what smart prick did that?
Don't know. Must have been a ricochet.
Yeah, and I suppose it was a ricochet did that too, eh?
Fucked if I know, mate.
Don't you fucking mate me, soldier. You're on a charge.
And what charge would that be?
Willful destruction of army property.
Oh, that charge.
And that goes for you three smart bastards too. What unit are you from?
Artillery.
Okay, let's have your names.
Grey, green, brown, and yolk over.
What?